everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're gonna do two parts to this video. So the first part is gonna be how to make sweet and sour pork vegan. This is in Korea we call it 탕수육. So 탕수육 is often served at like a Chinese restaurant that's kind of been Koreanized. So there's a lot of Chinese nationals that moved to South Korea and then started living there, and now they have second, third, fourth generation of people living in Korea. So and a lot of them have Chinese restaurants there, and there's a dish that's called Jjajangmyun. Jjajangmyun is basically made with fermented black bean paste, and we make a sauce with it and serve it with noodles. So oftentimes 탕수육 is served with jjajangmyeon. It's like the jjajangmyeon is the dish you eat, and 탕수육 is something you share with a bunch of people. Okay, so for the jjajangmyeon noodles, we're going to be making kalguksu. Reason why I'm making kalguksu means knife cut noodles. In the Chinese restaurant, when they serve the jjajangmyeon, usually they serve it with hand-pulled noodles, and it's like it's an art. And the way they make the dough is like you need a lot of training, and you need to add specific ingredient that allows you to stretch that dough like that. And I don't have that ingredient, and I've tried to make that noodle, and it's really inconsistent and really frustrating. So another way to serve the jjajangmyeon is with kalguksu, and I'm going to show you how to do that. In here I have 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Then I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons of salt. Then I'm going to add 3/4 cup of water. I'm starting off with my paddle attachment, just so that the water gets distributed evenly. And your dough's not gonna get formed like this easily. And so if it's a little drier here in Arizona, so I'm gonna add a little more water. I'm gonna add another maybe 2 tablespoons of water. Good. See, if I use the dough hook for this dough, it wouldn't do anything. It would just, the water would just stay in one lump, and then the dry flour would just stay dry. So that's why I use the paddle mixture. And your water amount will differ if you change the type of flour you use every time, because different companies have different equipment, and the finer your flour is, the more water it's going to absorb. So I've noticed that when I use 00 flour from Italy to make pizza dough, and the 00 flour actually soaks up more liquid than all-purpose flour from America, because it's milled finer, the 00. So if you change your flour brand from like Pillsbury to Gold Medal, you may have to add or add less or add more water. I don't know. So when you see recipes, don't be afraid. The main thing is not the amount, but then you're looking for the texture, and that's the technique. You need to look at the texture of the product that you're working with. So in the bowl, it was all crumbly. Now I kind of like squished it together and kind of forming a dough. So, but still, it's really dry. If you look at this, it's still like crumbly dry looking. So we're gonna take this and put it into a plastic bag. All of it. And we're gonna keep it in this bag for about half an hour. So what this allows the dough to do is that the moisture will get soaked into all the wheat, the flour, and then it will look smoother, and then we can roll it out. Reason why we want our dough to be kind of hard like this and not really mushy and wet is that when we roll it out, it's going to hold its shape, and when we cook it, it's going to have bite to it. Okay, so this dough is done. We're going to try to get all the air out, and we're going to let it sit for half an hour. So now we're going to work on our jjajang sauce. Okay, so this is the bottle that you can buy the black bean paste in, and this one says Jjajangmyun, which means for frying or used to make the sauce. So we have half a cup of vegetable oil. I have soy oil, but if you have peanut oil, you can use peanut oil, just something neutral. And we're gonna take about, again, this is for serving size of 2 to 3 people, or really one hungry person. And we're gonna take about half a cup, about 3/4 of a cup of the black bean paste. Now this black bean is really salty, so we're not going to be adding any kind of salt into this sauce. Oh, this smells wonderful. So once you smell it and then the bubbles kind of like disappear, that means most of the liquid has gone away. It's ready. So we're gonna take this out. And so if you wanted to, you could basically fry the whole bottle if you wanted to, and keep it, put it back into the bottle and keep it in the refrigerator until you need to make this, so that you don't have to toast it every time you want to make this jjajangmyeon. Okay, so we're gonna turn the heat back on. We have our residual oil, so that's good. We're gonna add our onion. I have about 3/4 of a cup of onions here. They're cut maybe about between small and a medium dice, about 1/2 inch, between 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch. We're gonna put our zucchini in here, the Korean squash. We have about 1/2 cup. Then we have our textured vegetable protein. This is gonna be our meat. I have about 1/2 cup reconstituted with 3/4 of a cup of water, and it's like almost 1.5 cups, so it tripled in size. So we're gonna add this. Then I have wood air mushroom. So you will find this at Asian market anywhere. But if you can't find this, any type of mushroom will work. But I just like the taste of wood ear mushroom. It's kind of like chewy and like, it will almost remind you of like cartilage, but it's vegan since it's mushroom. So on high, we're gonna stir fry this. Make sure the pan is nice and hot. Oh, I haven't had jjajangmyun in a while. Because all the ones at the restaurant use like pork stock. Pork and chicken stock. Today we're going to use water, but I'm going to add some mushroom extract or mushroom powder. So if you wanted to use vegetable stock, you can. I'm just going to put like a teaspoon, maybe 2 teaspoons of mushroom powder, and I'm going to use water. See, my butane burner is not, the flame is not so hot, but if you have higher heat, make sure it's on high heat. Because we want that scorch flavor, you know, that fire flavor. You know, actually I'm gonna go get my torch. So at the Chinese restaurant, what they do is they have a giant wok, and on high heat they'll be like stir frying this, and it's gonna get like the flame's gonna add a lot of flame flavor to it. That smells so good. Oh yeah. Now, here we go. The smell is so good. That fire flavor, or Korean call it gourmet, which means fire flavor. But it's basically meaning smokiness. The smoke flavor you create from with the high heat. The onions, especially. Oh yeah. Then I have some Napa cabbage, about a cup. If you wanted to add carrots and peas to this, you can also. I didn't have any peas, so I'm not gonna put any, but I do have carrot, but I don't want to put carrots in this. And then I have potato. I'm gonna put about a cup of potato, chopped potato. And I have about 2 cups of water. 2 cups is not enough. I'm gonna add about 3 cups of water, and I have half a cup of water here for my cornstarch slurry. So, and I have about 2 tablespoons of cornstarch here. So we're gonna add our black bean sauce to this. And we're gonna let this simmer. So we're gonna let this boil, and then, we're gonna let this come to a boil. And then before adding our cornstarch slurry, I'm gonna give it a light taste to see. Oh yeah, perfect. Not too salty and not too bland. That when you toast that black bean, it has a lot of nutty flavor, and it gives depth to the sauce. So we're gonna let it come to a boil and then we're gonna add our slurry to it. So our sauce came to a boil. I'm gonna taste one of the potatoes to see if it's done. That's a pumpkin. Okay, here's a potato. No, the potatoes are still crunchy. So I'm gonna let this keep boiling or simmering. Okay, so now we have our cornstarch slurry here. You can use potato starch too if you have potato starch. Then we're gonna add our cornstarch slurry to our sauce. I may have to add more. That was just 2 tablespoons. No, I think that's pretty good. No, maybe a little more. I'm putting another teaspoon. Oh yeah, that looks much better. Okay, our sauce is pretty much done. Once it boils and it's come to this consistency where it's like almost like a meat sauce, you know, like spaghetti with meat sauce with marinara. When it gets to that consistency, it's a good sauce. And it looks like there's chunks of meat in there, you know? So, with the TVP, I'm gonna taste this. Perfect. That's it. And I'm gonna keep this. You have to roll as you're putting the dough in. So in this case, I have my dough that's been sitting in here for about half an hour. And you see how it came together? Most of the flour has been rehydrated and it's softer. Okay? So I'm gonna cut this into manageable size, into about half. I'm gonna keep the other half in a container. Then I'm gonna take this dough and I'm gonna press it down. I'm gonna start at number 1, which is the widest setting for the KitchenAid. Okay, if this happens, don't worry. That means your dough is too thick. So I kind of wanted to do this on purpose. So if this happens to you, don't freak out. So when this happens, all you're going to do is just gather the dough up. This just means your dough was too thick. I'm going to put it right through the machine. See, it's getting better. That means I had too much dough. And it was too thick at the end. Then we're gonna roll it again. See, now it's starting to look like a dough. So if you were to do this by hand rolling, it's a lot of work. If you have the machine, use it. I fold it in half and look. It's like a perfect sheet of dough. Okay, here it is. I just kept it at number 1 because we want a kind of thick dough. I'm gonna take this out. And I have the fettuccine attachment, which makes wide noodles. So I'm going to put it into the machine, secure it, okay, and then I'm going to just put it right in. See, now I have 2 hands to put it in. If I have a pasta roller, I have to be rolling and then put this in. So that's why I like using it on my KitchenAid. Take a little faster. Now I can take the end because it has like the frilly edge. And look, I have pasta dough. This is kalguksu. It looks like kalguksu, but it's a lot easier. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep this, I'm gonna get some flour. Now if you were to do this by hand, without the machine, what you would do is you would flour your surface, then roll this out. And then you would flour it some more. And you're gonna keep rolling this out. Roll it on itself. You're gonna roll. It's not big enough yet, but it takes a lot of strength to roll this out by hand. So that's why I use the KitchenAid, because it's like so much faster. But I know not everyone has a KitchenAid. So when you roll out dough like this, a little easier technique would be to get your dough rolled out thin enough and wide enough so that you can roll it onto itself, and then kind of roll it like this, and then the dough will get bigger. See how wide it got? Then you will roll it this way again. Just make sure you have enough flour in here. Oh, this is a workout. Either this is really hard to do or I'm really out of shape. So, and I think it's a combination of both. So the dough is getting bigger, and then once you have the dough big enough, what you're gonna do is try to make sure that it's even. There we go. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna roll this. Then you're gonna take your knife and you're gonna cut it. try to cut it all about the same size. And then you're gonna just unravel it like this. And this is basically kalguksu, which is knife cut noodle. It's very Korean. There's a lot of street vendors just sell this, the noodle. So okay, my water is about to come to a boil, and I'm gonna show you. So if you are single like me and you make a big batch, see, I got 4 portions out of this. Or 1 portion if you eat a lot. Or 2 portions, I mean, if you eat a lot. But I can't eat too much noodle because I get full really fast on starch. So if you wanted to save this, you can just toss a little flour like this so it won't stick. Then you put it on a sheet tray. I'm gonna save the scraps because when I make fresh noodles, I'll put it into it. And then just stick it in the freezer like this. And when it freezes, and you wanna make fresh noodles from the freezer, when the water boils, you just go right from the freezer into the. So our water is boiling, but before you boil the noodle, I have some ice bath here, and so. We're gonna boil this until it's nice and soft and tender. I would boil this for about, this is fresh noodle, so it shouldn't take more than 2 to 3 minutes. But I'm gonna go a little bit longer and I'll show you why. Because we wanna make sure it's cooked all the way, but if you're afraid that it's gonna get too soft, it won't, because the noodle itself didn't have a lot of liquid in it. And then we're going to shock it in ice water to firm back up the noodle, and then we're gonna lightly blanch it again so that it kind of has that chewy texture. That's one of the tricks Koreans use to get fresh noodles to be really like have that al dente, but it's not like sometimes when you go to an Italian restaurant or any restaurant that serves pasta, you can tell when the pasta cook is a newbie because they undercook the pasta because they're afraid of cooking it too much, and then it becomes like, it's not al dente, it's basically almost a little bit raw. So the Koreans do this when we're cooking fresh noodles or even dried noodles. We'll cook it, make sure it's cooked all the way, then we'll shock it in cold water so the starch will firm back up. And so if we're using it in a hot application like this, we'll go from the ice water right into the boiling water again, just to heat it up, and then put it into our bowl and then serve it right away. So look how nice this looks. Even though it's homemade, it looks professional. Like it looks like you bought it at the store, right? But those fresh noodles that you buy at the store, at the Asian store, read the ingredients. They have all these like unpronounceable ingredients to make the noodles last longer. Our noodles just have flour, water, and salt. That's it. We know what's in it. So a lot of people who say, oh, I have gluten allergies or gluten sensitivity. You're probably sensitive to all the preservatives and crap they put in there to have it have the shelf life longer. And I also use organic all-purpose flour, so I know that there's no pesticide. So it's been cooking for about 2 minutes. I'm gonna let it go a little bit more. If you're not sure, just taste it. Yeah, it tastes a little bit of the uncooked wheat also, a little bit. So I'm really gonna let it boil for another minute. Since it's fresh noodle and it still has a nice chew because we didn't put too much water in here when we're making the dough. Oh yeah, I haven't had jjajangmyun in few months now. Last time I made this, it was like, not few months, it was like 6 months ago. So here we go. Yeah, the butane burner is not strong, so just bear with me. Okay, now that it's cooked, it got really chewy again and firm. Oh yeah, delicious. Now we're gonna put it into, like, if you don't have one of these, you can just go straight into the water and then strain it into a, and then we're just warming the outside a little. We're gonna take our noodles, place it right inside the bowl, make it a little nicer. So we have our jjajang sauce. We just place it right on top. In the restaurant, they usually bring the noodles and the sauce separately, and then you put the sauce on yourself. That's a good amount of sauce. And usually we serve it with little julienne cucumbers. So here we have our jjajangmyeon. Now to enjoy this, they'll normally serve you raw onions like this, but we pour vinegar over the raw onion. And that's gonna help kind of take away that harsh onion flavor, the vinegar. And then they usually give you a side of this, the black bean sauce right from the jar. So take apart the onion. And you would take this, dip it into the black bean sauce. Just like the restaurant, but better. And then you would mix up the noodles like this. Oh yeah. So you can put pretty much any kind of vegetable you want, but the vegetables that I put in are the traditional vegetables they put in here. It traditionally has a lot of onions. It gives it a lot of flavor. So once the noodle is coated like this, I shouldn't have worn white when I'm eating this, but it's laundry day, so this is the only clean shirt that kind of fits. Until I lose my COVID weight, I can't wear my other shirts, it's too tight. So I'm gonna take this. Mmm. And then I'm gonna take an onion. Okay, to eat the sweet and sour pork, we usually put some vinegar on a plate with some soy sauce and a little bit of chili powder. This is the same chili powder I used to make kimchi with. But if you want to put cayenne, you can put cayenne. So it will enhance the flavor of this sweet and sour pork. Even though this already has sugar and soy sauce in it, I'm gonna taste it without. See, the mushroom and the seitan has been sitting a while, but it's still crunchy. It's really delicious, but once you dip it in this, it makes it even more delicious. People ask me all the time, don't you miss eating meat? I'm like, no. Because I know how to make things like this. The best part of knowing how to make this is that I don't know animal have to die so that I could enjoy food like this. See how crispy it is? And then the onion. So delicious. See, I got sauce all over me already. That's what I get for wearing white. All done. I'm gonna have to eat this later as a snack. I'm just so full right now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Oh my god, it's so delicious. Make sure you try to make it at home. Let me know how things go. If you don't have a KitchenAid, yeah, you can do it by hand. But just know that the noodle can be a little tricky if you put too much water. So again, thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already and press the like button and share it with all your friends. I don't know what I want to do with the next video. maybe a dessert. Maybe I'll do I don't know, I'll think of something. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time, okay? Bye!